slow as it can be. Okay, I think we're there. Hey, we're live. Yay, yay. Hey,
Awesome.
it's Sue Greenwald here. I'm with awakenstories.com. I'm here today with the original John F. Kennedy Jr. Hey, John, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. It's always great to have you have me on your show, I should
Yeah,
say. I look forward to it. I really don't look forward to sharing my story all the time.
yeah,
Sometimes if I make an appointment to talk to somebody about it, I dread it for days, just thinking about all the negative stuff. But
yeah,
with
yeah.
you, it's awesome. I look forward to it.
Well, we've already kind of told the basis of the story. So, for those that are new, if you'll read this book, Stolen Identity by John Kennedy Jr., okay, on Amazon, that tells the core story. There's more details to it, but it tells the basis of what we're talking to about. And then we had talked, this is maybe our, I don't know, seventh video, eighth video. We actually told the story in the first two videos, and we've throughout there we've told more stories and all of that. So to not to have to go over it over and over, because it is traumatizing. So for those that don't know, John was put into, we're going to call it a witness protection program. He was put into a house filled with organized crime, kidnapping, torture, child trafficking, murder. His entire biological family was murdered and replaced by doubles. So I get a lot of questions about that. They want to know who the people in the headlines are, and I'm like, they're doubles. If you read the book or listen to the other videos, you'll understand that. But for for from this point forward, we're just going to basically tell stories, Q&A, talk about whatever we feel like, and encourage people to share the book and the story. So the story is real. And I know that when I go onto YouTube, I get I get hammered with the videos, the pictures of the double JFK Jr. Okay, and of course all the propaganda that surrounds that. I get like so much stuff that, like, they're really on me, and I do subscribe to your YouTube channel. And I watched a
Awesome.
video the other day. I tried to comment, I tried to like, it kicked me out. I went back in, I tried to comment and like, it would not let me make a comment. All right. So I'm just
Uh,
one of probably many that have that experience where we're not really being able to get to the content, to the real truth. But we got to hang in
yeah,
there.
my story is being hindered and blocked and shadow banned. And no, I understand the problem on YouTube. I'm still asking people to join me on there. I'm trying
Yeah.
to get 1,000 subscribers, but even Robin was a subscriber on there. And the other day, she said, "I'm not subscribed to your channel anymore on YouTube.
Yeah.
What happened?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, they're kicking people off." And somebody else made a comment also that they got kicked off. They
Yeah.
subscribed and then they weren't subscribed.
Yeah.
Um, there's so many powers. Well, in my book, and what I'm doing is I'm waking up the world to criminals are running the show,
Right.
and there's so many out there right now, and I'm putting it in their face. You people, you haters, I'm alive. And how did I stay alive? Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. Donald Trump, I'm alive, brother.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, hindered and blocked in so many ways. But we're gonna get it out old school. However, we got to get out the truth,
yeah.
and we're gonna make our government a better place.
Yeah.
I got I read this, but I got a card from a supporter, and oh, actually, she sent me this. It's Paul Revere. It's a um half
Oh,
half
yeah.
ounce Paul Revere silver, nine
Silver.
nine silver, but it's Paul
Wow.
Revere,
Yeah.
and it's because of my ride to Arlington and across the country on the motorbike. So
Yeah.
she sent me that. But she also said in the comments, the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones that change the world. And that got to me right there because, we're blocked, we're hindered. People say we're crazy all the time, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
When I was a child, um, Max Quigley would say, you can't fight the government. There's no way you can fight the government. Just go with the program.
Yeah.
Well, I'm crazy enough to think I can, and we're gonna do it. We're
Yeah.
gonna do it. By the time we get to Arlington, Virginia, this later this summer, we're gonna have thousands and thousands and thousands of supporters there to make world news. We're gonna do it. We're gonna change this country.
So you're basically going to do a ride across the country and then put, your book on your father's grave. And that's going to be this summer. Like, do you have the month, the details or any of that yet? Or
I just got my map 2 days ago. Me and
okay.
Walmart don't have maps. No one has maps. So me and Robin took the motorbike to a truck stop, and I got this map. Just me getting a map is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
huge achievement. But put a little red circle on there. That's Arlington, Virginia. So I got a map. I'm starting putting circles on there. We're going to start
Yeah.
putting times and dates, but we're going to make it happen. Robin has been a huge supporter. Me and Robin hooked up. She had $30,000, and she basically said, "I'm going to make your life better, John," and she has. And she's a wonderful supporter. But we are going to try to do what we can to make it comfortable to get us
Right.
to Arlington
Right.
and make this all happen. We're going to make the DNA test. We're hiring a private science. We're going to make it all happen. It's
Right.
all in the works.
Right.
Keeping me busy with all this stuff.
Yeah. So for those that don't ride a motorcycle, we can just show up by car, I assume, in some fashion. Like they'll be,
You can walk, take
we can,
a
yep, fly.
bus. Hopefully, people take buses. However you can get there, it's going to
Yeah.
be appreciated. Bring your phones, your video, your cameras. Let's make world history. We live in a regime. It's huge, no better than any other regime in the world. China and Russia and all the other regimes that only put out the news media that they want you to know. We live in the same
Right.
same type world. They don't want you to know my story because I'm exposing how the criminal activity works. I'm exposing criminals, murderers.
Right.
And these murderers are right in the spotlight, putting it out there, lying to you, deceiving you, so we can all be slaves to them.
Right.
It's a big wake up call. It really is.
It's money,
A lot of
control,
people are
and
still,
power. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, I'm sorry.
and I've got another story to share. It's not in my book. It's a childhood story. Maybe it'll be in my next book, but whenever I'll share that story
Okay.
with you.
Right.
But yeah, it's a new one. So maybe every week we can have a new story.
Yeah, story hour. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Whenever you're ready, why don't you tell us the story?
Okay. I need to puff on my cigarette here.
Yeah, I know your throat sounds a little raw. So John just told me he did another live video somewhere and was talking for a long time. So it's all good. We'll do as long as we can
Yeah,
go.
I was just on I was just on TikTok for a little over an hour,
Yeah.
sharing the live here and sharing my story. But with this story, I was a child, thinking maybe I was around 10 years old. But I was placed with the Quigley family, um, part of organized crime family. My mother's brother, Robert Crisp, we were in Southern California, and my I don't know what you want to call them, my handlers, Max Quigley and Robert Chris were talking earlier in the day, but they were talking about a gentleman that didn't want to come out of hiding. And I just found it odd, but they were actually staking out a gentleman that didn't want to come out of hiding. And you got to remember, I was only 10 years old. But then the next morning, they had radios, and we got in I believe it was a Suburban, and we went to Dana Point, California. They were on radios. They were being followed by two black Suburbans to Dana Point. We got to Dana Point. The other two black Suburbans sat off in the distance. They unloaded the biggest ice chest I have ever seen in my life. They loaded it on a yacht. Um, I had two cousins there. I don't know if they were my cousins because I was placed with the Quigley family, but they were young. One of them um, was older than me, and then there was a little girl there. And one of their comments that they made was I wasn't supposed to get too close to the little girl for some reason. Maybe she was a Kennedy. I don't know. But they loaded the ice chest on the yacht. They had binoculars. We sailed off in the yacht till there was no ships around us. They proceeded to throw human body parts out of the ice chest into the oceans, feeding the sharks, human remains. And that story is not in my book, but it happened. And who that person was, I don't know, but it was Mafia war. It was a Mafia takeover. And I lost my loved ones to that war. But that's just one of a lot of stories. I know I made it short. I don't know who the little girl was and why I wasn't supposed to talk to her that day. But yeah, I'm an eyewitness to them actually disposing of body parts out in the middle of the ocean.
Wow. Why do you think they took kids with them at all? Why do you think they just didn't go and leave you guys at home?
Maybe it was for the, it's kind of like when people hide out in church, maybe. This is just all maybes. But with the Quigley family, we had to go to church every Sunday. We had to be the happy family. Um, for the public eye, it couldn't have been,
Yeah.
their child traffickers or handlers. So when we went out, it was a family setting. We're just going on a picnic on a cruise. You got the kids, um, everybody's happy. That's the scenario people would see, but actually, we're throwing body parts in the ocean.
Wow. So you didn't help with that. You just saw what they were doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So it sounds to me, since they
And
were
they also had a rifle there. They also had a rifle there, and what they would do is they would shoot the sharks with the rifle, and then all the shark blood, more sharks would come. And but yeah, they stood on deck with binoculars and made sure that nobody was watching them what they were doing.
wow.
And they also, I remember their comments, they made sure they were out deep enough in the ocean, um, away from everything and everybody, where the human remains would never be found.
Okay. Wow. So it sounds like they were after a guy that wasn't coming out of hiding, but somehow they caught that person and then, did what they did. And I just find it, interesting if they wanted to keep it private that they took the kids, but again, there's logic there that we don't understand, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you ever ask yourself why this happened, it's always money, it's always
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
Um, that person that lost their life and ended up in an ice chest, um, it's always money. If you don't have the answers, follow the money trail.
Right.
But yeah, I was a personal eyewitness to that as a child as well.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's funny, a couple days ago, I thought of that and I was like, I'd like to share that on Sue's show.
Yeah.
But it's just another one of many stories I had to grow up learning and seeing how they operate. And they had secrets. I'm sure, when I look back, those black Suburbans were a secret service,
Wow.
and they were sitting off in the background just like they do, making sure nothing happened. Because if a policeman would have pulled up or something while they were unloading that big ice chest,
Yeah.
I'm sure they would have pulled in and said, "Go away. This is our
Wow.
investigation," or whatever
Wow.
they had to do to
Yeah.
cover it up.
Yeah. That just shows you how big these things are. Like we think, oh, it's only here or there or whatever. This is a really big deal. It's happening all over, and it's way more prevalent than we would have ever thought. right? And I think that, again, with people like you, you're coming out with your story, you're courageous, you're doing it. The internet and social media is really helpful for all that. And it encourages other people to step up and corroborate the stories or come forward with their own stories. So, wow, you know? Yeah. We're all taught that
Yeah.
the government is, the ultimate power in our country, right? We're taught that as little kids. You can't fight the government, like you said, right? That's the attitude people have because it's just too big and too complex. But then add in all of this. Ugly. It's ugly. Yeah.
Yeah. One of us has, I know I do, it says my internet is messing up, and you
Yeah.
were
Yeah. So we're pixelating because I'm sure they don't want us to talk again. Um, so we'll do these talks every week and just bring up different topics or whatever. So when you need to go or you think it's a good time, just let me know. All right. Um,
yeah. I was doing a live a couple days ago,
yeah,
and I don't know if my blood sugar or something went, but I started feeling real crappy. But I still did my live. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm feeling good today though.
Yeah, good. Well, you've been putting a lot of video, a lot of clips out there, clips of yourself as a child. And I think one of the most effective thing I saw was that little air freshener thing that you had, and it showed half of your dad's face and then half of your face side by side. And it's actually quite shocking how perfectly they match up. You know what I mean? It's beautifully how they match. Beautiful
It's
how
cool,
they,
huh?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think there was a magazine in Quebec, Canada, that used this. I'm not really sure. There's so many good people sharing my story out there,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's it right there.
Okay. Okay. Hold it.
There's a gal named
Put it a little bit more like toward the camera or something. Yeah. Well, so you can see JFK Senior on the left and then John Jr. on the right, but look how perfectly that matches up. And it looks like the same person, doesn't it? So that is a
and that
beautiful job.
picture.
Beautiful job. Yeah.
That picture is one that I managed to save all the years.
Yeah.
I had to. I was quitting jobs. There were so many attempts on my life, but I had to get an ID just to cash my paycheck out in the middle of nowhere. Um, but I was probably around my father's age back then.
Yeah.
So that probably, but that was like one
Yeah.
of all my pictures were probably destroyed. They wanted me gone.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't want me around.
Yeah. Well, it's shocking. The whole thing is shocking. Okay, first of all, you have an American president assassinated in broad daylight in front of everyone. Okay, shocking. And of course, this whole story,
I wish the world would have acted.
yeah. Well,
I really do.
honestly,
I wish the
people,
world right there would have woke up and said, we got to get rid of our government.
yeah. Well,
But
people believe the newscasters. Walter Cronkite or whatever, like everyone's upset, but they all blame the patsy, right? So they don't think, well, maybe there's a bigger story at play or whatever. And remember, back then, communication was slow. We have the internet and our camera phone. So communication nowadays is like pretty much instantaneous. Back then, it wasn't. And even to develop a picture was a long time, so it's a different
yeah,
world now, you know but that's why this is so beautiful that the
that's when,
stories are coming out now, because we have social media. We can do these talks and interviews, we can share it around. Yeah, we're censored and we're banned and we're blocked from doing whatever. That just shows us they don't want these stories out there. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
after that, what was it? 2 hour photo mats on the corner started
yeah,
popping up just to have a
yeah,
picture. And then it was our photo mats, but
yeah,
we've come a long ways from there. It's
yeah.
instant.
You paid a
Um,
premium for quick development, though. But just think of the time way back when, there wasn't 24/7 TV. The TV stations turned off at like 10 or 11 at night, I think. They didn't broadcast, and you didn't have all these channels and everything. It was just a different life back then, much slower paced. And
They used
people
to on
were,
the news when at the end of the news they would say, "It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?"
yeah,
Do you remember
yeah,
those?
I do. Yeah. And and we believe people were more innocent and trusting. Like we believed the headlines, we believe this and that. But now, of course, we see crazy things everywhere in Facebook and the magazines. But so we're more skeptical, but there's still so many people that will look at a Facebook story or whatever, read the headline and say, "Oh, I've got my news for the day." That's what they believe. You know what I mean? There's no research involved. There's no thinking on a deeper level. They just suck that right up. And I think part of that is because they're very distracted by technology. The pace of things is really fast nowadays compared to back then, you know?
Yeah,
So,
I urge people to research. I
yeah,
urge them to look at my, because I post so many stuff on TikTok and
yeah,
now YouTube, and I'm surprised. I must have thousands of videos out there because just
yeah,
YouTube alone, I've already posted 100 videos on
yeah,
YouTube.
yeah,
It's crazy how fast they add up, but um, I urge people to research.
yeah,
Look at the ears, look at the handwriting, look at the facial recognition. I mean, two ear experts looked at my ears and said, I'm 98% that kid as a
yeah,
child. Well, I know I am, but there's hundreds and hundreds of photos and videos of me as a child. So if I'm 98% that child, what's that make George John, the whole world knew Mr. Pretty Boy? Um, he's 1%, you know, but
yeah,
experts did that. And I urge people to research the ears, research the handwriting, the facial recognition, all of what I'm saying.
right.
And plus we got DNA, I posted videos of it. Please research, hear what I'm saying, and then judge after you do a
Yeah,
little research. But
yeah,
there's people that just comment,
yeah.
just like, well, you're not John Kennedy Jr. You look nothing like Pretty Boy. You're an old fucker. So many comments like that.
Yeah,
And it's like,
yeah. Yeah, well, you got to
it's
think,
crazy.
for
It's
one, he was
crazy.
in his
People
30s
run their
way
mouth
back
where
when.
they think anymore.
And see, these people are programmed to believe that that story is true and that the plane went down and he died with it, but that was not the real person, is really the bottom line of this whole story. And people have compared your voice, your looks, and all of that, but you're missing the whole point of the story. All right. So if you read the book and listen to the videos, you'll understand this is a huge story. The corruption is crazy, and there's so many people involved in it. So we've got the politicians and the
Mhm.
influencers and the Hollywood actors and the singers and pretty much everyone involved in this story. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just my Hollywood career,
Yeah.
all the stars I was meeting and being taught by. I mean, you think, I hung out with Doris Day for weeks. And in the movie, I was calling her mom, for Christ's sake. John Wayne and Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson, and many, many, many others that Jackie had me, hanging out with them for weeks at a time
Yeah.
as a kid. But my Hollywood career, Richard Steele was the name that they gave me in Hollywood. Hollywood can change your name. They say it's to protect you. But in my case, it was to screw me over because they already had a guy named Richard Steele to take my place. But no credit. But you can look at so many shows I was on and movies I was in, and they simply just replaced me. That
Right.
easy.
Right. Yeah. Well, like, who's going to think that you were a different person? People don't put two and two together. But you putting the story together, like, it brings a lot of pieces together. You know what I mean? Like, we understand, or I understand more, I should say it that way. After reading the book and talking with you, how you were bounced around, you met all of these people. It was all intertwined. They all knew each other. They were all in that same group, right?
I have always been amazed how Wayne knew so many people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It always just, but then, you go back to when I was a kid and the shows. Um, I'm trying to think of that old show that had all the stars on every night. I'm so bad with names. But it was a nightly weekly show on Sunday nights, I believe. But they had Elvis, the Rolling Stones,
Yeah.
all those people on there. Um, but then, I can't remember his name, but I'll
Ed
just go on.
Sullivan. Ed Sullivan.
I believe so.
It's a really
And
big
then you had the
show.
Tonight Show. You had the Tonight Show with the guy that smoked a cigar. The David Letterman Show. You had all these guys, but every night they had a new star on. Every
Yeah.
single night of the week, they had a new star on. They would shake their hand, they'd give them a hug, they would talk to them, they'd interview them every single night. You
Yeah.
imagine what their little black book was. Just David Letterman's little black book, or Jay Leno. Jay Leno's little black book. Jay Leno's coming to Laughlin, Nevada, and I talked about it. I haven't done anything about it, but I wanted to get tickets to see Jay Leno. And I wanted to hold up a sign during his show and say, "You remember me, Jay? John F. Kennedy Jr." You
You were,
imagine what you imagine what is in his black book. All the stars that he met night after night after night, all the entertainers. So it's when you think about it, it's really easy for one person, one individual to know so many great
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And Wayne knew him.
Yeah. Well, just from your stories alone, like you said, I think it was last week, you were on, you stacked the stones for the movie I'm having trouble talking today. For the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks, and your hands were bloody, so your blood is on the ball that was Wilson. Like that's a big deal, those little background things, like and you were in the plane with Harrison Ford when it crashed. Like no one
Yeah.
knows.
One thing I remember about that movie with Tom Hanks
Yeah.
is if you've watched the movie, but he has a rock up against his teeth. And I believe he hit it with another rock, but that was to pull his tooth out. I think I think it was a rock and another rock. But I remember that very well because Wayne was like, make it real. So I believe that was real. He actually knocked his tooth out for that movie, just for that movie.
What?
Yeah. You imagine doing that? I mean, my teeth are all messed up, and I've actually, uh, I haven't had to do it lately. They fall out now, but sitting in my living room with a pair of pliers and pull my own teeth out, it's difficult to do. It's painful, but I've done it. Um, and I've even put a pair of pliers on my teeth and broke the tooth off.
Oh,
Um, but when you're in pain and you don't have money to go to a doctor or a dentist to get it done, that's what I had to do. Now I only got one left on top, but that's coming. That's
yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my teeth done someday.
Yeah. Well, and also for those that are watching, there's a link for Cash App in the description below if you want to donate to John's living expenses and all of that. Obviously, he's been kept in poverty. We didn't talk about that, but every time he got a job or a place to live, it was taken away from him. All right. So, like in your book, you talk about numerous places. You get them fixed up, you get everything out, and then somehow people take it away from you. And so you've never had really a lot of stability in your life. You haven't had a way to like basically uh, accumulate wealth or comfort or whatever. So they've kept you kind of like on the run most of your life.
Yeah, when I was in Course Gold, California, I learned how organized crime works, and it works all the way to the court system. It works to the
Yeah.
sheriff's office,
Yeah.
and when you're in a little community, and these people are holding secret meetings in the middle of the night, they run the town. Um, they run the county, the court system, the building inspectors. It's all run by these people that are meeting in secret.
Right.
So these people that go to these meetings, whether it's a meaningless job of building a house or running a restaurant, they put who they want in place
Right.
to prosper. And a newbie comes in town, they're done.
Right.
It's total control of the town. I've seen it. It's not fun, but they controlled me. They kept me working for under minimum wage jobs. I couldn't get a job because it's all run by secret organizations that are all connected, and they all have pledged their lives to the devil. And it's really sad when a whole city can be run by a or secret organization that is doing child sacrifices and every other thing for
Right.
power and control.
Right. And believe it or not, that happens very frequently. All right. So what we're talking about here happens way,
Um,
we might think just here and there. It's really kind of popular. So we want to bring that to people's attention. Just look around. Look at the corruption in your own town. I
I was
interrupted you.
curious last night. And I Googled how many people are prisoners in the United States of America right now.
Mm,
There are 1,250,000 people in prison in the United States of America right now.
wow.
And that number just blew my mind. Think about all the people that should be in prison that aren't. But when you're saying 1,250,000 people incarcerated
Right.
for crimes they either committed or didn't,
Yeah.
it's huge. Just that number alone of criminals. It makes you think of all kinds of different scenarios of people that should be there, people that shouldn't be there, that these organized crime have put there just to shut them up and get them out of the way.
Exactly.
But our tax dollars are paying for a lot of for that.
Yeah.
And the people that are real criminals that are in our government should be there.
Right. And
Um,
people don't realize that prisons are privatized. So they're owned by wealthy people. Okay. And how do they make money? They have to have them full. Okay. And then the government subsidizes them. Beautiful
yeah, I
plan.
even heard a few months ago some people outraged because their loved ones um, were ending up dead and then not having their body parts.
Yeah. Yeah. We're seeing in the news, various states are reporting inmates missing. And then we see them, sometimes they're buried, around the prison somewhere. Their organs have been taken. They die mysteriously. So a lot of that is coming out in the headlines now. But that's been going on for a while. And, we're seeing mass graves all over with, people, their body parts are taken, all sorts of really nasty stuff is starting to come out in the news. You
I was watching, it wasn't last night, the night before, I was watching a TikTok live, and there was a group of people on this TikTok live. It disappeared. Maybe TikTok took it down. I started sharing it. Robin started sharing it, but they were in front of a prison. Um, and I don't remember which prison, but the mother of an inmate was on the grass, and she was getting all kinds of support. Her son had called her and had been beaten and bludgeoned, and they wouldn't allow the mother to get help, do a welfare check on her son. It had been 2 days. They would not let her talk to her son. But the last conversation they had, that he had been beaten up, and they were pissed, and they were trying to make it public. And
Right.
I was following it for a minute, but then it went blank. Um, but yeah, it's crazy. I mean, they were standing there on the lawn. It was nighttime. You could see the officers around, but they were hiding. They were hiding from the public live video. They didn't want to speak to the mom, and the mom was irate. She's like, "I want answers. Let me see my son. Get the ambulance in here to check." Nothing, not a word. It's crazy what's going on in this country. People don't have a voice.
Right.
It's getting really bad. It really is.
Yeah.
Well, by what I'm exposing has me so worried and concerned about our country. Um, the lies that people are believing and being told about these politicians, and trusting them when their closet is so full of evil deeds, it's not
Right.
even funny.
Right.
Um, how to become a billionaire in this country. It's satanic. It really is. It's all
Yeah.
satanic.
Yeah. And you know that the common person, like we all try to go into business and make money and become successful. We really don't have a leg up like those that are in that club do. Okay. So they all are intertwined. They all know each other. They all help each other. And then they don't want, the common person's success. So it's
Exactly.
really hard for the average person that is not in the satanic club, not in the organized crime club, or whatever you want to call it, Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. It's really hard for the average person to succeed. All right. We're
It's
supposed to,
all about their blood,
yeah,
their
we're,
bloodline, their family members. They don't have a problem killing a child and replacing that child with their own bloodline, and it's happening. And I need to do what I can to make it public. I'm
right.
trying.
Mhm.
I know you're trying, but it's huge. It really is. Well, my sister, the Martha Moxley murder, um, 15-year-old, they had no problem killing a 15-year-old little girl to put their own bloodline in power. The Caroline Kennedy isn't who she says she is. She has
Right.
lived a life of riches, a life of wealth, and my poor sister was killed at 15 so she could do that.
It's awful. It really is awful. Like, really, when you read this book and then you start to look around at our world, okay, and it's not just the US. We're in the US, so that makes it easy to talk about, but it is shocking. Like when your eyes are opened, then you see more, you see more, you see more. And then when you start to think about the deeper reason, you can see it happening, right? Not everyone can see it yet. So that's why, and it's my opinion that getting the word out as a grassroots movement, we all have to share the book. We have to read the book, educate yourself, listen to the videos, share everything around, and when you talk with people about the stories like this, you know, sometimes that dipping the toe in the water is the way to go. You give them a little bit, they have some curiosity, you give them a little more. Sometimes if you give them the whole story at once, they just flatly reject it. They can't
They
accept
can't
it.
handle it.
Yeah,
They just can't.
yeah,
Um, yeah, this is a huge achievement. This book,
yeah, yeah, it
um,
really is.
and I can't stress the fact MK Ultra. It's a huge tool.
Right,
Some people don't realize they've even been under MK Ultra. Um, I've fought it and I've won. I've been out of my mind crazy. But when I was young, um, basically MK Ultra is a hypnotic state. It's 100 times stronger than the regular hypnosis people are used to, like going to quit smoking or just the hypnosis people are used to. MK Ultra is way beyond that. People can be put under in a dream under MK Ultra and programmed to do things in the future, commit murder, crimes, anything. So the people that put them under MK Ultra won't get caught.
right,
Um, but when I was young, I was laying in bed, and if you get right to the point where you're almost asleep, like you could feel like you could fall asleep at any second, and then you start thinking about the dreams you have had in your mind, and all these dreams start popping up, and you're like, okay, that wasn't a dream, that was real. And I would do that. I would practice that night after night, thinking about all the scenarios that I actually lived through, and then woke up and didn't know nothing. But one night I was sitting there and I was thinking about all the murders I have seen, just like the one I said at the beginning of your show, and all the you know murders I've seen, basically.
yeah.
And they keep popping into your head, and it's like that wasn't a dream. That person actually lost their life, or that person was actually drowned in a barrel and sealed track. There was so many.
Horrible. Yeah, we have some pixelation in the video.
I
So
just got an unstable connection again.
yeah, yeah. So what you just said we didn't really get.
That's funny how that works.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, but yeah, it's a huge weapon. It's a huge tool,
Right.
and it's 100% real. I believe that's how they got Oswald to do what he did, and the whole scenario. Um, and these people never know. Even the guy that Sirhan, I believe, that killed my uncle Bobby, to this day says, "I don't know. I don't freaking know." Well, that's MK Ultra.
Yeah.
He doesn't know
Yeah.
because he was programmed, and he wasn't supposed to know.
Yeah.
The people that programmed him were just sitting back watching, but it's so real. And it's huge. It's so huge what these evil people in power can do.
Right.
And hopefully we can clean it all up, because it's so wrong. It's so
And
wrong.
you would probably guess that many in Hollywood, in politics, etc., are MK Ultra, the young people or whatever. But basically, what they do is it's like a kind of a hypnosis, almost torture program where they fracture your mind. They give you horrific images, and until you just basically can't take it anymore. Is that the way it works? Yeah.
Yeah. I was on Gitmo once, and I was actually waterboarded. They didn't tell me what was going on. These military guys grabbed me, threw me on a board, stuck my head in a upside down in a bucket of water. I didn't know what was going on. I had no clue. They just grabbed me and did this to me all of a sudden. So I had water going up on my nose. I was choking. And after it was done, I was like, what the fuck is that all about? And somebody said, well, if you're going to waterboard, you got to know what it's like. But I thought they were going to kill me. And that's how MK Ultra is. They didn't tell me what I was going through, but it was actually training. They just waterboarded me. And that was their response. If you're going to waterboard somebody, we want you to know what it's like.
Wow. So let me ask a
But
question. Why were you there in the first place? Like, who were you there with and why were you there?
I was there with Wayne, but when I was so-called in the military black ops, I would ask that same question. And the commander at the time would say, it's none of your business. Shut up. You're in the military. You don't ask questions. You don't ask questions. You just do what you're freaking told. You're in the military.
Okay.
I was told that many times. One of the times was right before the Jones massacre, Reverend Jim Jones, and the massacre that happened there. I
Right.
was sent to a military base before that even happened. Um, there was one instance. They You get used to how they work, but they would have a shoebox and they would pass it around to us guys, and they'd say, put all your possessions in there. So your rings, your jewelry, your watches, anything had to go in this shoebox, and they'd say, you'll get it back when the mission's over. And that was just because if you were found dead or caught in another country you weren't supposed to be in,
Uh,
you wouldn't
okay.
have any artifacts to connect you to what was
Right.
going on.
Right.
But yeah, you're boarding the helicopter at that time after you throw your shit in a box, and you're just going in a military uniform with no insignias or no stripes or nothing. And you say, well, where are we going? Same thing. Shut up. You don't need to know. This is a secret mission.
Wow.
And
Okay.
you're willing to risk your life, but you're trusting these other guys and you're just getting on the helicopter. But many scenarios like that. But yeah, where am I? What am I? Shut up. You're in the military.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So they basically
And a
just did
lot of
that
that
to
is
you.
MK Ultra.
They did that to you so you would have the experience of how frightening, how traumatizing it was, and so that you would be able to do that in the future to someone else. Wow.
If needed to be, if needed be. But yeah, some of that torture is huge. What they put me through. Some of the sound torture devices and mental devices, and it's really, our
Yeah.
government's got a lot of shit to fuck with a lot of people
Yeah.
and their brains and their minds and make them do things they would never do in a million years. Um, Not under MK Ultra, but it's all secret government. When I was in it young, it was Project Artichoke, they were doing everything to not get that public. Project Artichoke, all the way to killing people and threatening people's lives if they ever spoke about it. But
Wow.
the word got out. Now it's called MK Ultra, and it's just mind control weapons and how to
Right,
make a person a puppet.
right,
And it's real, and they can make a human being a puppet to do that, make them do anything,
right, right. And I know
all the way
there's
to take their own life.
yeah, and you gave a story, I think it was in your book, where Wayne commanded someone to just drive their car like as fast as they could into a wall or something like that, into a building, and they did. They did it. Wow.
Yeah.
That's how strong.
Um, I believe that was the Chicago Wars, Mafia Wars. Um, but yeah, that person lost his life. I was told that person tried to take my life, so it didn't bother me so much when that happened.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
There was
And
also a guy that tried to take my life. There's been many people try to take my life, and once they try to take my life, they're done. People ask how I survived. I'm kind of explaining it in a roundabout way. They come after me, they're done. Um, if you know the good guys like me, we have to sit back. We just can't suspect someone for wanting to kill us. So we have to sit back and wait for them to actually commit the act, try to commit the act
right,
anyway.
right.
And once they expose themselves for that, they're done. That's why that video I made on TikTok with me standing in the phone booth smoking a cigarette, saying, I'm alive. I'm still here, people. Try me. Just try me because we'll send you back in a box.
Yeah. So you have to wait for them to attack you, basically, so retaliation can take place. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge. But I get those comments so many times. Why'd they let you live? Why, if they're so, why'd they, well, they didn't let me live. There's been many attempts on my life.
Right.
I've had a bullet graze my cheek. I've been poisoned. I've had to pull my weapon out more than once, and I've trained myself, where I just don't pop somebody off, but I've had my life threatened many times.
Yeah.
I've had people come in the middle of the night to try to take my life more than once. So when I get these comments, oh well, how they let you live. Well, I got friends in high places, and we know how to send somebody's head in a box back to them.
Well, also you have friends in high places, right? And
Right.
um, you also have developed a sense of when someone's going to attack you, which is very clear from talking with you and reading the book. You kind of have a sense that something's going to happen, and you've protected yourself so many times from that sense, you know.
Yeah, it's really weird being in touch with God like that, where you just know something's not right.
Yeah,
Something isn't, um, you
yeah,
know, is not adding up. So you totally, you can't think of worldly possessions, um, or you just got to go with your gut instinct and do what survival mode kicks in. Let's say.
yeah, yeah. And you've been good at that. So there's many reasons why you're still here, but I think you've been protected. You've got a special mission, and that's my theory. But also, you've developed, because of your background with all the stuff you went through, you developed a great sense of self-preservation. Like if somebody, like you'll sense if somebody's trying to sneak up on you, you know. And like you said, you used to book into a motel, but sleep in your truck or whatever. Like you knew they were
Yeah,
coming
and
and saved
yeah,
you.
you even shocked me the other day. You said 5 plane crashes, and I was like, was it really that many? And I was thinking, yeah, it might have even been more than that. But yeah, the big wake up call just for me being alive through all that, all the attempts on my life. God had to be sitting right there with me, just to get through the one,
Yeah, yeah,
and that first one where my stepbrother was shot right in front of me. I still can't get that image out of my head. I was 13 years old, and being 13 and having your stepbrother die in your arms. Um, so many times God was with me because yeah, we crashed good that day. I broke my arm that day. Probably tore my fingernails off my fingernails from trying to claw the seats, just trying to stay alive while we were crashing that plane.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, God
Yeah.
has to be with me. He really does.
The average person can't even understand a plane crash. Okay, so like, yeah, you're up there and like the plane is crashing. Some people have died on the plane, and you've just, like you've either got, a life jacket on, you've done the right things to survive each time. Now, you've been hurt badly. Like I know you talked about a helicopter crash, and you broke your back, I think, and several, other parts, but it is an amazing thing to survive one crash. Okay. And then,
Yeah, and that just brought something up in my memory. When I was in the military for my training, I was doing underwater diving, and we had all our scuba gear on, and we were underneath. And basically, this guy that was there pulled this big long knife on me, and I looked at him, and he started coming towards me with this big long knife. And I was just in training then, but I was hauling ass to get away from him from stabbing me. And I came up too fast. And I got up and I didn't feel good. And I was telling the people that were up, above the ocean, I was like, that motherfucker down there just tried killing me with a knife. And I got the bins. I don't know why, but they put me in this big freaking chamber and it would ping.
dang it.
There we go with the internet being unstable
Yeah, I'm sorry.
again.
Yeah, the story
But
is,
I was in this chamber
yeah.
for days and I would hear this ping, ping, and I had to take off all my clothes. Oh, we're breaking up again.
I'm sorry. The screen is
Yeah, you were froze up.
yeah, you were froze up.
Uh,
Yeah.
I wasn't froze up on my end, but you were froze up on your end. So somehow we're getting things backwards
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
But maybe I'm telling too many stories. I don't know.
No, but so basically what happened, you were underwater training,
Hmm.
a guy pulled a knife and tried to kill you, and you went up too fast and you got the bends, and then you were in a chamber that pinged for several days. Oh shoot. Are you still there? Well,
I'm still here.
oh, okay. I wasn't sure. So, you've just had so many like again, people try to kill you in a variety of ways, and you've always been successful at getting away, surviving, avoiding whatever it might
It's
be.
almost like they were just playing with me. Like I was just a little plate, like their little puppy dog, just to kick every now and again. And,
Yeah, yeah,
I really don't have the answers, but, just having the bends and being in that, hearing that noise, ping, 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 and so hot and humid and miserable for days. It's another story.
yeah. Horrible, horrible. But thank God. See, I think what happened is God's letting them all reveal themselves. So you're seeing them all and what they're doing, you're gaining strength and, awareness. Then you're telling the stories to us so we understand, and they will eventually be punished. And that's why they don't want the stories out, right? So the stories are going to come out, all right? And they don't want them to come out, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's going to be good. Going to be good. Well, we seem to have a lot of technical
they're
issues
gonna come out.
today.
They're gonna come out.
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that, you got a unique every week, a unique little story to tell us. That's interesting. And people really did like to hear about the Castaway movie a lot because that was a very popular movie, although it was kind of an upsetting movie. Everyone's watched it. So that was a good story, and then today's story as well. Very good thing
Yeah.
to talk about. But like again, I guess what I just encourage people to watch this is, if this weren't the truth, we'd have no trouble with the lines, right? And you know what I mean? We're having trouble with the line. So share the book. Please read the book yourself, share it around. And I would love it, John, if you did write a second book. And I think you probably will be writing a more comprehensive book in the future, but just to tell other stories and experiences that you didn't put in this one. I'm sure you have so many, a lifetime's worth. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think,
Yeah. And I
mm,
wish more were good. But
yeah,
yeah, I've got, 60 years of
trauma, trauma. Yeah. And we're not,
I sure wish we had a better reception, but
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, I thank you for your time, and we'll keep it short since we're not really having a good flow of communication. We'll keep it short, but we'll do it again. How's that sound? Okay. Thank you all for watching and send
let's
over.
do it again.
All right. Thanks, John.
And
Appreciate your time.
maybe we'll get some